morning, everybody. Welcome to Breakfast with the Deacons. And yes, we're in this amazing month. We are in, and we've just started Advent, you know. So we're in the month of Advent, that time preceding Christmas. And I want to share with everybody, you know, let us celebrate Advent in the way we're supposed to. You know, let's take some time out. It's a time of waiting for the second coming. It's preparing ourselves. So Uncle Eric just had to start with that. But welcome to Breakfast with the Deacons. Thank you for opening your homes to us as we share with you the good news. And today we have some amazing good news. But you know, Uncle Derek always starts with Papa Francis, our Holy Father, the Pope, you know, the head of the Catholic Church. At this time, he has the keys to the kingdom of heaven. I believe that, you know, and Jesus said, you know, the gates of hell shall not prevail. Partner, going under some tough times right now, but we hold strong. And I want you all to pray for Papa Francis. So let's hear what he is saying this morning. He says, today, people are suffering from poverty, but also from a lack of love. Suffering from a lack of love. And I want to kick that off because just when he spoke to me on this, people are suffering from poverty, but also from a lack of love. We're going to explore today, right, this seed of people suffering from a lack of love. That poverty of spirit, the poverty, yes, and it's also a materialistic poverty. You know, where, you know, Archbishop Jason and I spoke about it on Shepherd's Corner, where the 1% control the majority of wealth. What happens when people suffer from poverty? What happens when people suffer from a lack of love? And today with me, I have a young lady. She's been in this business for a long time, right? She is Lorraine Pouchet. Now, we've had on the show before, but, you know, I'm continuing on my theme, which I had with Sharon Bermudez, a therapist, and we were dealing with depression. We were dealing with anxiety, and we spoke about, you know, some of those symptoms of depression and anxiety. We're continuing that conversation, but we're going to take a slightly different look at what could have caused it, right, in a different way. So I know that you're tuned in. Go and call your husband, call your children, anybody that you want to, who you feel. And when we start to talk, it might be opening up a whole can of worms. But it's always good to find out that you have worms, because then we could give you the Lomotil. We could give you, not the Lomotil, no? What is it English? Give you for worms? You know, with them kind of things, right? We're going to clean out the worms business inside here. We're going to start with some therapy. Welcome, Lorraine Pouchet.
Hi,
how are
Derek.
you? Did I pronounce that properly? Pouchet?
Perfectly.
You know, I know some people like to call you Lorraine Pouchet and all that kind of thing. But you know
the French thing is Pouchet. But you know, as Trinidadians, Trinbagonians, we answer to both. Pouchet, Pouchet, we'll answer here, but it's really Pouchet.
It's Pouchet.
Yes.
You know, I like to get right with people.
You know, I remember when we were getting married, my husband and I, he had to go and do an affidavit.
Because
they used to pronounce it Pouchet.
Yeah.
They spelled his name wrong.
Yeah.
So when we're going to get married, we want the correct spelling. So he had to go and do an affidavit, and his father and things saying Pouchet is Pouchet and Pouchet is Pouchet. So it was quite interesting.
No, but look what that. But there's have a lot of Pouchets, Pouchets around the place. They have to go and do affidavits too.
Well, that's their choice. But he had it.
But
he had the
made
problem.
sure he got the Pouchet.
Yeah, he got the Pouchet. You know, Derek, before we start, I just want to mention something. You spoke about Advent and the Archbishop speaking about the Advent.
Waiting.
Yes. Anticipation, time of waiting and anticipation. And from my own personal experience, we've always liked to hit the ground running from the 1st of December, the 5th of December latest. But because of his very convincing talk.
So you listen to it?
Yeah, man.
Hey, Shepherd's Corner, #1.
Because of his very convincing talk, my husband and I sat and we agreed that we will do it on the 16th.
Wow.
We will prepare and clean and so on. But you know, for us, we are always prepared for the Lord. So our house is always prepared for the Lord.
Yeah.
But this special preparation, we decided that we will really start it on the 16th. Because I thought about it and I said, you know, we delayed gratification is something that we don't know about.
Yeah.
And we're always in a hurry to get things done, maybe not to the better. And anticipating and then having that joy come after is very, very important. So, yeah, we listened to Shepherd's Corner and we have decided to do exactly what he said.
Hey, you heard it here on Breakfast with the Deacons. We want to give you good news. Archbishop J, well done.
Yeah, yes, well done.
You know, what you call it? Archbishop Joe Harris used to say, nothing worse than a force-right mango.
Yes.
You understand?
Oh, well, I love Archbishop Harris.
You love Archbishop, you know what I mean? And we can't wait for the mango to ripe, so we want to cut it when they're too green.
That's right.
You know,
and his aboga.
Yeah, this, hey, this aboka. You heard that? Yeah. I talk about these aboka, you know. Ladies cannot wait. I'm just telling you all that. They want to cut these aboka too early. This aboka ain't soft enough yet. They want to open it up, and next thing you know, they spoil this aboka.
Yes, yes.
Only wait, man. And I'm telling that to all the young people too. Wait. Right? Wait, you know, I preach always, and that's my kind of theme. MSC, marriage, then sex, then children. You know, and that's our MSc program. I put it only on an MSc program, all them young people. Not sex, then children, and then maybe marriage. MSc, we're going with that. But let's go into the topic of the
But you know, you're saying a lot of things that making me interject a few comments here. So if you will give me some leeway.
She want to get leeway.
When,
about leeway, eh?
When you look at the 10 Commandments, people are interpreting the 10 Commandments as this onerous type of instructions for us to follow. But if we understand the essence of the 10 Commandments, we will see that they were put in place to ensure our happiness. Because it's when we break those 10 Commandments, it's when we do things that are not integral to the commandment itself, that we find ourselves hurting ourselves and hurting others. And that is what causes the trauma and the pain. It is just the Lord telling us, you just follow this pattern, baby, and everything is going to be fine.
The recipe for happiness. The recipe for what? The kingdom here on earth. I couldn't have said it better. Yeah, boss, you know.
Well, I listen to you too much.
No, God, I'm blushing. But let's kick into what we want to talk about. You know, today we want to talk about, you know, original pain. And maybe that original pain being the root cause of some of the problems that we're having, where we are seeing an escalation of anxiety, an escalation of depression, an escalation of suicidal attempts, the escalation of people being unhappy in the world right now. I want to go down to that because Sharon and I spoke about some of the symptoms, you know, how to recognize somebody suffering with depression, some of the things that you could possibly do, you know, the prayer, the exercise, go and get some, go to a psychologist, go to a psychiatrist to probably try and get some medication. So we spoke about a lot of those things, talk therapy, and so let's deal with maybe some of the root causes of why people suffer with depression and anxiety, which is on the rise today in Trinidad and Tobago and the world society.
It is very much so on the rise, and what we are seeing, which is quite concerning, is a serious increase in our youth, in our young people from as young as 8 and 10 and 12 that are suffering from anxiety and depression. Loneliness. We are disconnected society. Our connection is the cell phone, social media, and so on. We are disconnected. We no longer are interfacing one-on-one and connecting emotively. And remember, emotions are energy in motion, so it's our energies. Our energies have been muted. So we don't have that kind of connectivity taking place. And young people need to feel connected for them to feel whole. And that's not happening, and there are various reasons for that. Now, you spoke about Pope Francis talking about the lack of love. And let's talk about one of the main root causes that we have found in original pain therapy. Original pain therapy is really about focusing on what is the root cause. Because many times we are treating symptoms of situations, and we can continue treating those symptoms forever. But if we don't get down to the root cause of why is this happening, then we find that it's like you're spinning top in mud. So you spoke about the original pain therapy, and I want to focus on the fact that we have found doing this work that the root causes of most people's depression and anxiety actually resides in the womb experience. The womb experience.
Now, you know, you're taking me back here, you know. You're trying to say the womb experience. Are you saying that some of the reasons that people are suffering with depression and anxiety stems from the womb? But how are they going to know that?
From the womb, and I will explain. You see, we have several stages of development as a human being. You know, you have your prenatal, your infancy, your toddler, your preschool, school age, and so on, which all culminates in the adolescent stage of development. And at each stage of development, we have needs. Just like a mother bird will feed her little ones in the nest, and when it's time for them to fly, she kick them out and they had to fly. Okay, so we all have needs, and these needs, if they are properly met, and we navigate the stages as we should, then we will become a balanced person, and we are able to face the stresses of adolescence and adulthood, and understanding that adolescence is the most traumatic time in the human life cycle.
Why?
But because of all the various things that come in, the emotions, the hormones, the decisions about, oh, I have to leave that nest and I have to now see about myself. What am I going to do? What is my career? Will I find somebody to love me? Okay. What is going to happen? It's a very difficult time, because it's a transition between when we are helpless and being taken care of to when we now have to become assertive and take care of ourselves.
Okay, okay.
And if those things, if the needs were not met and we were not properly assisted to take responsibility as we navigated the stages of development, we will find ourselves in a helpless position as an adolescent and an adult and don't know what to do.
Hold on
okay?
a minute. But wait. You think our politicians could be suffering from problems like this?
Oh, Lord, I'd love to get into the cabinet and parliament and to do an original pain therapy course with them.
Hey, this is not a promotion, but we want to, you know what I mean? Because some kind of decisions we see in. Now, this is not meant to be a controversial thing, but let's put it this way. I mean, if you know, we are society and all of us come from, you know what I mean, from the womb, we can't come from anything else. Even though I hear there are some test tube babies, but I think still they have to go back into the womb. So
no, but even those test tube babies, you are touching on something that is very, very powerful there, you know.
Hey.
Because test tube babies, remember, the way the Creator created this procreation and us cooperating with Him to procreate, and it's for His purpose, nobody else's purpose. Part of that is the sex act. Part of the sex act involves emotions. It involves love. When you are creating what you spoke about, test tube babies and all of these things, where is the emotion? Where is the love? Where are the important things that are going into this joining, this union of the ovum and the sperm? Where is that? It's not there. So what you are creating is a human being that is devoid of very important emotional transferences that come from the parent. We are getting together because we love each other, and if somebody is created out of this, that child is going to be perfectly loved by us. Where do we have that? And if we look at what has been happening in the world, worldwide, and you look at the statistics, about as much as 66% of women, it may be higher now, who are pregnant don't want to be pregnant.
No. Listen, breakfast with the Deacons is supposed to be good news. What you're trying to tell me
you
is
need to understand about
66%,
Derek.
and you say probably getting higher?
Yes, because really if you look at the stresses of the life that we are living now, a woman has 2, 3, 4 children, and she gets pregnant. The first thing she's studying is how am I going to take care of this child? The second thing she's studying is if she's not having problems with the spouse. Will their father be around for a length of time to help me with this child,
Yeah.
So there are a lot of issues. Women are very much more involved in their careers.
Okay.
They don't want to have to take care of children.
What about teenage pregnancies?
That's another story.
What about things like incest? What about things like
Derek,
rape?
you going down the second part of this program. Let us focus on this depression and anxiety and the root causes. So when my mother is carrying me, and my only need was to be wanted for the very one that I was, or that I am, and that's not there, then my issue is rejection from the womb, which is the foundation of who I am. The womb experience is the foundation of who I am going to be. Okay? So if mommy rejects me, That's a big issue. But let us talk about mommy's feelings while she's pregnant. Suppose mommy is going through depression and sadness and anxiety. How does that affect the baby? There's a chemical interaction that is taking place. All mommy's feelings, everything within mommy is being transmitted through this unborn fetus via the umbilical cord in the womb. We don't only give oxygen and blood and nourishment, but also mommy's feelings. Okay? So if mommy goes through 9 months of not feeling good about herself or feeling sad and depressed, what we have found, and I can correlate this because I have regressed many people to that stage, is that they actually take on into their personalities their mother's overwhelming feelings.
No way.
And I can testify from that from my own personal experience.
You had personal experience?
Personal experience with that. When my mother was a St. Lucian, my father was a Guyanese, both deceased.
Wait a minute. You're living in Trinidad?
I'm the only one in the family born in Trinidad. My husband always said
you were born in Trinidad? So you're a real Trinidad?
Yeah.
Even though you have Guyanese and St. Lucian parentage?
My husband says they chose to have me here just for him. Because he's a Trinidad, you understand?
Yeah.
So anyway, so she's a St. Lucian, and this guy from Guyana goes to work in St. Lucia, meets her, she falls in love, they get married, he gets transferred to Trinidad, she gets pregnant. She has no friends, she knows nobody, she's never lived out of St. Lucia. He's working shift. Do you understand her frame of mind and her state of mind? When sister regressed me and I connected it, I then began to understand why, even though I had a nice family, a good husband, didn't have to worry about finances and all those things, and I was fairly comfortable. Yeah. I would just be going into these little flunks of feeling sadness for no reason, getting depressed for no reason. There's no chemical, there's no medical reason for it, and so on. And it's through that therapy that sister did with me that we discovered that my depression and sadness was not mine. It was my mother's.
Okay.
But it became part of who I am because I am connected to her as one in the womb. So therefore, everything that she's feeling becomes part of who I am and part of my psyche. So what we have found is that a lot of people, not 100%, but quite a bit of people who are suffering from the anxiety and depression, the root causes resides in the womb and the relationship with the mother, whether they were wanted, whether the mother was depressed, and so on. And the other aspect of that also is that if we understand we talk about love, and Pope Francis spoke about lack of love. Mm-hmm. And we as Christians talk a lot about unconditional love. Mm-hmm. Do we know what is unconditional love? Do we really know what is unconditional? Most of the times our unconditional love is conditional.
Yeah. Now, you know, my partner, Father Matthew, you know, we talk about love. What is love? Love is free. Are you experiencing free love? Love is faithful.
And not like the hippie free love, eh?
No. Free love. It must be faithful. It must be total. And it must be fruitful. Right? So he has kind of said, okay, but I know he was studying, you know, in Rome and so on. Love is free. How many times they say, I'm going to love you if, you know, make love to me, no man, and then you go show me how much you really love me.
Not only that, the children, when they're doing the SEA, if they pass for the first choice, mommy and daddy love them. If they pass for the third choice, they love them so much. And the children start to interpret those things as that I must be perfect or I must be the best for me to get your acceptance and your love.
Pause. You understand why we're doing this work this morning? You know, our theme, Uncle Derek's theme has been depression, has been anxiety. We've been working with Sharon, now we're working with Lorraine, because we want to get to the root cause of this. And Lorraine is saying, and she's also a therapist for over 28 years, and she's, you know, she is a student of Sister Helena Profero, a Carmelite, born in Guyana. I think today we're dealing with, even a camera woman this morning is a Guyanese, right? We're dealing with OPT, original pain therapy, and that being, you know, as what Lorraine was saying, maybe the majority of the causes of this has come out of the womb, has been in their DNA from conception, you know, and the challenges that we're experiencing today. You're experiencing today because of anxiety. You're experiencing today because of that, you know, persistent sadness, where we talked about depression as not, all of us get sad. You know, all of us get sad a little bit, but prolonged sadness.
I want to say something. In the womb, we helpless. The person who controls what's going to happen to us is our mother. So an infant in the womb is helpless. They are guided by the 9 months. They're guided by what mommy does or doesn't do. They're guided by the feelings of the father towards the mother and the unborn child. They're guided by mommy's feelings for that child. But they're in a state of helplessness. And this may be for another show, but we have also seen where there's research taking place that spontaneous abortions are actually babes in the womb committing suicide.
What?
Yes.
Babes in the womb committing suicide.
Yes.
We call this spontaneous abortions.
Yeah, when a mother is perfectly healthy, there's nothing wrong with her. There's absolutely no reason why this child should come before time.
Right.
And when you are helpless, you try to find a way out of it.
Okay.
So what you may find is that the ego defenses or the defense mechanisms from in the womb can come up into adulthood. So for example, if we realize that mommy doesn't want us, she's unhappy, she's sad, she's whatever else is going on, daddy's beating the daylights out of her and she's carrying me, then I can just go into my own self, become very alone, very isolated in the womb, don't feel, numb out, and just wait for this 9 months to finish so I can get out of here. And then there are some babies that don't want to come out because of the trauma and the stress that is taking place in the environment, because we think that these babies are not connected and they don't know what's going on. It'll amaze you what in the womb, our experiences in the womb, if we tap into the regression properly, what we can remember from our experience in the womb. So in the womb, an infant is really helpless. When we look at people who in the adult world or in the teenage world are suffering from depression and anxiety, it is almost as if they're in a helpless state and they don't know how to deal with these feelings. So you understand where I'm connecting the correlation between the helplessness in the womb and the helplessness as it relates to us being unable to move ourselves. Even though we have all the practical things, even though we know what we should do, we have been so programmed to that we don't know how to. And the other thing that happens is that, remember, in the womb, the brain is forming. The brain synapses are connecting. Chemicals are flowing, different things are happening. And when we look at the two main chemicals of noradrenaline and serotonin, let's focus on serotonin. And I made a couple of notes so I wouldn't forget. If serotonin in our system is low, depression and suicide are some of the effects of that. So if our serotonin, if for us to operate as balanced humans, these two chemicals must be in balance. Okay, sometimes they make one a little out of thing, but they must be in balance. But when that serotonin is all the way down here, what we find ourselves presenting is depression and suicidal tendencies. Okay? And when that serotonin is high, too high, what we find ourselves suffering from is fearfulness, lack of self-confidence, obsessive compulsive behavior, and what does that equate to? Anxiety.
Oh, good. So wait a minute. What you trying to tell me?
So that womb experience is critical. The foundation of each human being, it is critical.
Could a child in the womb suffer with depression?
Of course.
You've heard it here on Breakfast with the Deacons. The child in the womb could be. You see why I'm talking about MSc, marriage? So get to know the person first. Really get to know the person. Court, do all the things we're supposed to be doing. Then think about marriage. Then think about sex. Then think about children. We put the cart before the horse. You know what I mean? And sometimes plenty carts before the horse.
And the thing is, Eric, that many times people bring their children to us because the children are presenting different types of behaviors, or they're loners, or they're introverted, or various issues that come out. They're not mixing well with their peers and so on. And they fix the child. So they bring the child for me, fix the child. And more often than not, I'll fix the whole family system.
Okay.
Because the child comes out of systems. The family system, which is influenced by genetics and the way mommy and daddy interact with each other and with the kids. Okay. The school system, our religious system, the socio-cultural system. Our children are coming out of all those systems. And if those systems are not healthy and not balanced, to teach a child, well, it could be this or it could be that, but it's your ability to cope with it. Then we have a set of children who are presenting behaviors that seem that they have a problem, but the problem is not them. The problem is the whole system. You know, I'm dealing with a young woman right now who is cutting and who has a lot of issues and she's very young, 12 or something like that, okay?
And she's cutting herself.
Yes, at 12. Stress of SEA, stress of all kinds of stuff, right?
You're talking about a child in primary school about to go into secondary school,
Yes.
and she's cutting herself?
Yes, you would be surprised how many of our young people are doing that. Now, here what happens. When we look at the situation, there's a deeper issue. The deeper issue is the mommy and daddy and the family system. Because we all are produced and we all come out of either unhealthy or healthy family systems. I don't like to say functional or dysfunctional, because that's a matter of perception. It's either you come from a healthy system or an unhealthy system. And nobody is perfectly 100% healthy, and nobody is perfectly 100% unhealthy, even in our own bodies and in our own selves, okay? So if we come out of those kind of systems, if the family system is unhealthy, me trying to fix a child and put them back into an unhealthy system don't help.
Okay.
It come like when we used to be doing, Sister and I used to be doing work with the prisoners. When we had that outreach and we would go into the prisoners and do the original pain therapy course. We insisted that we only get the pre-release prisoners, those that are coming out within the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
Because you cannot try to help somebody understand themselves and make the changes that they need to make within themselves to be able to cope, and then put them back in the same unhealthy situation that they came from in the first place.
Okay.
Where they have no choice and they are, as we go back to the word, helpless. It is our helplessness that causes us to feel depressed and anxious, because we have no hope that we can fix this. And we're going to get into another part of that. For us to be in balance is body, mind, and spirit. I'm not saying religion, you notice I didn't use the word religion. Body, mind, and spirit. We are essentially spiritual beings on a physical journey. I don't know how many people recognize that. We all think we are physical beings that somehow need to find a spiritual way to get where we're supposed to go. But that's not who we are. We are spiritual beings on a physical journey. And if we can understand that, it means that spirituality is a very important part of us being balanced, whatever our spirituality is. Because it is through spirituality that we get something called HOPE.
HOPE. We have to be people of HOPE. That's the word for the day. Hope.
Because when we are hopeless, it's because we don't believe that this could get better. And that is what is going to push us to take in our lives and push us to doing things that we shouldn't do. Because we don't believe that this situation is going to improve. We need to do what we can do, but we also need to understand that the spiritual aspect of us is also critical. And we can go even further to say our spirituality a lot has to do with how we think. Because they say your body is what you feed it. Your mind and your spirit is also what you feed it. And if we are feeding negativity into those aspects of who we are, then we are not a balanced person in the positive way and cannot attract positives to ourselves.
And if we were fed that from in the womb, from our mother, but no, I don't want the fathers to escape from this,
Father is critical. You see, fathers, culturally and traditionally in the Caribbean, we believe that the father's role comes into play when the children start to run around and they're starting to need some discipline. Isn't that a fact? But that's not the truth. The father's role starts, where?
In the womb? Or before the womb?
From the moment of conception.
People, you've been watching Breakfast with the Deacons. Now, we just whet your appetite. This is episode number 1 in a number of episodes where we're going to be dealing with, again, depression, anxiety, looking at it from a different angle, looking at it from also trying to get into the root causes. Stick to us. Tune in to Breakfast with the Deacons. I'm Deacon Derek Walcott. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to see you again. Don't turn off that dial. Pause.